Well, hi, YouTubers. Hi, I'm back with the 24 books of 2024, and it's by Val McDermid, and it's called Queen Macbeth. Okay, so let me start this. 1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. No, it wasn't. That's everything the gargoyles, okay? Oh, God, I love that show. Okay? Okay, this is quite a long blurb, so I might have to shorten this. 1,000 years ago, in an ancient Scottish landscape, a woman is on the run with her three companions, a healer, a weaver, and a seer. The men hunting her will kill her because she is the only one who stands between them and a violent ambition. She is no lady. She is the first Queen of Scotland, married to a king called Macbeth. As the net closes in, we discover the tale of a passion, forced marriage, bloody massacre, and the harsh realities of medieval Scotland. At the heart of it is one strong, charismatic woman who survived loss and jeopardy to outwit the endless plotting in a string of ruthless and power-hungry men. A struggle won her a country, but it could cost her a life. Okay, so you think of Macbeth, you think Lady Macbeth, you think out damn spot out, I say. She was a schemer, she was wicked. She got with her husband, Macbeth, to kill the king and take his place. She was steadily mad. So I was actually in a production of it. No, not a production like that. I was in a production of the Tay Pratchett parody of it called Weird Sisters. Okay, where Nanny Og, um, Granny Weatherwax, and Magrat fulfill the three witches, and it involves a long lost king, okay, called Tom John. It turns out he actually wasn't, but no one actually cares. And it plays around with time travel, and I really enjoyed it. My part in that was I was very other little like bits and bobs going on, okay. However, I was the guy at the beginning who gave baby Tom John to the witches. I had a cut face. I cut up my face with some makeup, okay, I put makeup on my face so it can cut up. And when Dexter said why, I went, well, I was just watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I noticed how cut up the protagonist's face was while she was being chased by Leatherface. And I realised that would probably happen. And he's like, genius, Jodie, keep doing that. So, anyway, out of my, the Shakespeare plays is not really one of my favourites, but this is a story, okay, of Lady of Queen Macbeth or Lady Macbeth, the woman who eventually will become Lady Macbeth. Her actual name is Gouache, and I googled that, okay, to find that out, okay. It has a little introduction as well. I'm the first person to actually get this out. So, and it came out this year, and it opens up with this problem is this with this book, okay. Now it starts off with Gouache on the run with her three kind of companions, have the three women that gave been advising her from childhood, basically filling in the prophecy of the Weird Sisters. Okay, they are the Weird Sisters of Shakespeare's tale. While she's on the run, her husband is dead, her son is dead, her son Laluc is dead, her husband is dead. She's now on the run. Now, according to Wikipedia, she disappears from history. Okay, in about the 1050s. Okay, after Macbeth allegedly was killed on the battlefield. Okay, the real Macbeth. Right, this has a few twists to it, and then, yes, I will be spoiling it as well. Okay, so, but the thing is this, okay, her story of her on the run is also interesting as a flashback of how she actually got here. The real Garouche, I will actually put a Wikipedia page under this. The man she was married to, it wasn't a happy marriage, her first husband, okay, and she starts lusting when she sees Macbeth during her flashbacks. Right. The first time I set eyes on Macbeth, I knew he was a very pattern of manhood. Not simply was he well set and even featured, but there were no mark against him. But even though he was a lower in rank than the man I was wedded to, seemed more like a lord than Gil Conmagam. Okay, my husband was Mamoya of Moray, King of the North in all but name. That's true. And if I mispronounce anything, I do apologise. But the Scottish language is very beautiful. However, I had to look up so many of these words, okay, and their pronunciations. So, so she meets Macbeth, who is related to her husband. He's a very embodiment of manhood. Her marriage with her husband, Gil, come again. He's loveless and also childless. They've been together for some time, but there's no heir on the horizon. And so she sees Macbeth and she wants him. She wants him. She starts with her women, okay, to actually plot, okay, to. And this is a world, okay, where if you were caught with another man, but the worst thing that could happen to you, I mean, let's face it, your life is over. But she plots and she schemes. She plots and she schemes, okay. And when she's talking to her with sisters, okay, is this, okay? This is when Ethne, right? It's for here. This is her seer companion. He will be the one. He will surely plant a king. Her words send a chill through me. It has been 70 moons since the wedding, and there was still no sign of an heir. The want of trying on his part. Aoife, always sharp-witted, said my womb lucky refused his seed because I had no love for him, and she may have been right. So superstition and the sword rules, okay, to quote Gargoyles. Right, because married is loveless, okay, there's no heir on horizon, right? And so she kind of conspires with her ladies, right, in the actual Scottish court to have her time with Macbeth, okay? And the politics of this is my problem with this book, is that the bits where are on the run aren't interesting, okay? They're on the run, Macbeth is dead, they've been forced to flee, her son is dead, and to me that was, yes, her son Luke is dead, and so she's now got no husband and got no son. She's on the run, and it's for her, right, right. Now, what I felt against Gilly, I was bound by my father's insistence. He himself was the son of a king, which made me part of that same royal line. So he could countenance nothing less than the highest rank for me. Right. Well, Mayor of Moray, King Norbert, the name of the Highland fiefdom, was a perfect match. A marriage with Gilly Comigan would make stronger my father's position and do him honour. She had no choice in this marriage. She's basically setting herself up to. She's telling this story, okay, to herself while she's on the run, to basically say that my marriage was loveless, we had no child. In a way, essentially, even okay, she's not the Lady Macbeth, okay, or Shakespeare's tale, the one that's the most popular, but in a way, setting herself up to be like, well, as my marriage was unhappy, and I had to, in a way, I had to do what it took to keep the bloodline going, to keep the kingdom in effect, because my husband could not give me a child. Right, even though of course she was being blamed for it because this is 1,000 years ago, and of course. So she's setting herself up within her own head to basically like the victim of circumstances who was compelled by this kind of like mystical force, by magic, by her weird sisters, okay, to cheat on her husband. That's her motivation. That is what she does. In a way, I basically saying, okay, as a woman in this court, I have no power. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do, okay? Right. Okay. And the fact is that when it comes to her with sisters, okay, her companions, is the fact is that even at court, you can see why. I mean, first of all, Shakespeare was not inspired by this, inspired by another story, which actually came out 500 years later, okay, about Lady Macbeth, making her the villain of this of all of this, okay. And when it comes to things like witchery, okay, with Ethne, right? Sorry, in Ethne, it's Aoife, okay. Here we go. Everyone knew it would be an act of folly to accuse the handmaidens of the Mormaer's wife of witchery. Agreed me to owe anything to Gil, but I had to thank him for that. I expect he did it out of fear rather than love. Right. Aoife's unsettles even the most battle-hardened member of those eyes that seemed straight through them to the fair shores of their nightmares. Right. And she had said to me with an impossible implication that Macbeth would be the one to give me a son. And so as she's retelling this story, okay, like 20 years later, she's basically saying, okay, that, well, no one could accuse my companions of witchcraft, but it was witchcraft that did it. Basically, she's setting herself up, okay, as I'm a victim of circumstance, okay? Right. And the thing is, she also schemes a lot with her husband to basically always bring Macbeth back to court. Basically, saying to her husband, who is actually related to Macbeth, well, befriend him, make him your kinsman, make him your clansman. Basically, bring him more to court. Okay, it will look good. He has his own army. Macbeth has his own army, has his own men. You could, basically all come together. Right. Here you go. Right. Time to flatter. If you'd wanted to murder Finlac, you would not have hidden behind the hands of other men. You have to face him directly, and the world would know it. He smiled. You know me well, but Macbeth does not. Do you think he believes the rumour? There's no sign of hostility from him or his men. They're not heavily armed. They don't pick fights when they were drunk. They just got more drunk and more cheerful. They seem to be without guile. Yeah, flattery husband. Always scheming, okay, of the court, okay, of these men in their battlefields. Right, and of course, the accusations, okay, against Queen Macbeth's husband, okay, Gurush's husband. And she's basically saying, well, I have no suspicion, okay, of these rumours against you, okay, what you do or what you don't do, but bring Macbeth to the castle. Bring Macbeth as your kinsman, as your clansman. Right. And this is why, okay, she's flashing back while she's on the run about the story. Okay? Right. And, yeah, it is very, very interesting from a narrative point of view how a woman looking back on her life 20 years after the event, after her entire kingdom has crumbled, right, and her husband is dead and her son is dead, is essentially just using her feminine wiles in the way that she can, okay, to basically make her husband think it was all his idea. But this bit here, okay, right. In Macbeth, I saw a possibility I'd barely been able to consider before. It was a route so perilous, I wondered if I might even imagine it. But the end of those risks might lie safety for me, and the three women whose love sustained me through every threat and difficulty. Out of the net of danger, I might close my hand tightly and pluck the flower of safety. Right. So she's not going to be rescued by Macbeth, of course not, but in a way. But the fact is that this affair, okay, actually took place, okay, under the nose of everyone in this keep, in this community. And that's where the excitement comes from. She's excited, okay, the fact that she is doing this, right? But in a way, okay, it makes herself like, well, I had absolutely, I had to do it. I had no choice. Basically, in her own head, she's making herself out to be more like heroic, like it was a noble sacrifice to cheat on her husband, even though he is described as a total dick. She had to do it. She had to do it for the kingdom's sake, and it wasn't just her. It was the magic by her three companions, the weird sisters of the story. Yes, they planted a seed into my head. Right, here you go. And it's right. It's for here, okay. And she even says that blames magic for it when it finally does happen. Right. The madness had not been my plan. I'd only want to bewitch him so I could preserve my place. Right. But perhaps my best potency will take root in my womb. A child would appease Gilly and it secure my position. A boy would make me valuable. If it was a girl, I could go a second bout with our beautiful cousin. Right. Rescue being my stratagem, one way or another, but not counted on a revelation I not anticipated, a tale of set of emotions. I had not known love, so I had not expected it. So in this, okay, of her Macbeth sneaking away together, okay, to have a happy fun time. Oh, Queen Macbeth has fallen in love. She's fallen in love. Absolutely. And in a way, kids, the fact is that as she's fallen in love with Macbeth, placing him above all others, it kind of, in her head, it justifies her actions later. As I said before, her journey to get to where she's going didn't interest me. Actually bored me, okay? She's hiding in monasteries, she's hiding, just trying to escape, okay, before she's killed or be killed, or forced to marry someone else, or used as kind of a display, like here's Queen Macbeth, the wicked, before I burn her at the stake as a witch, and then burn her witches at the stake as a witch because they're witches, okay? So, or maybe, okay? Right. But she was pregnant. She was pregnant with Laluk, okay, who's going to pass off as her husband's child. And the fact that her and Macbeth, as this is her looking back on her life, it has flowery floral prose. Actually, the prose itself as well. is the modern day, okay, the modern day prose, okay, is kind of like more kind of realistic. Okay, it's her on the run. She's angry. She's desperate. She's um trying to escape with her life. But when it flashes back, it actually drifts more, and it's something very very similar, at least structurally, okay, or even tonally, to iambic pentameter, the language that Shakespeare used. Her flashbacks is a Shakespearean dialogue, but it's meant to be realistic, if you will. Right, here we go. Garouche, no day has passed without thoughts of you filling my head. I've never missed anyone so much. I talk to you when I'm alone. I dream of you when I'm asleep. I never felt like this about a woman before. He loved me. It was knowledge I not dared hope for. It's what I crave more than anything. It's been the same with me, Macbeth. Carrying your child feels like a blessing. Makes you a part of me that I can never deny. Right. So, now, that is pure Shakespeare. That is Shakespearean in its tone. Okay. So, and when it comes to the actual giving birth to Lelouch, you can kind of see how Val McDermid has taken the historical. Now, it's very interesting, okay, how she's written it. Because Lelouch is born, and due to her not even remembering it, okay, and her not being able to remember the actual birth because due to milk of the poppy, okay, um, it causes so much damage that she can never have any more children. Now, there's a thing in the original, okay, it's not original, okay, the Shakespearean Macbeth, that how Lady Macbeth was infertile. So this kind of takes this kind of twist on the real Lady Macbeth, the real Queen Macbeth wasn't. She had one child, and she had no more after that. And but this presents it as kind of the idea is that Lady Macbeth can have a child, or she had a child and it passed away. This is the mentality of she had a child, but she could have no more. Right, here you go. Right, when Aoife broke the news that there would be no more children for me, it felt like there's something in my body knew already. Right, not that Gilly cared. He had his son, his line was secure, or so he thought. He was determined to celebrate the birth of another huge feast, regardless of my inability to walk without discomfort. Never mind, dance. Right. I made no attempt to talk him out of it. Macbeth deserved to meet his son as soon as possible, and I pined for the sight of him. Right. So our larders were empty for a third time inside a year. Tried to think how people would endure the winter with so little left to sustain them. So one minute she's like, we shouldn't be having a celebration because our larders will be emptied and our people will suffer without food. And then a second later, she's, well, at least I get to see Macbeth again. This is Garouche telling her story 20 years after the event. She's kind of distancing herself from the reality of the situation. How the fact is that in her head, now Lady Macbeth is known for her wickedness, okay? In a way, this is a woman basically retelling a story to kind of absolve herself from any crime, if you will. Absolve herself from any crime. Right. But the plan is, now this is actually true. This is what the real Macbeth did. I will link to him. Is Gilly, okay, was murdered by Macbeth. His keep was set ablaze and everyone died within it. And then Macbeth took command and became King of Scotland. That's actual historical fact, right? And but the excuse was, now this is an actual twist to this, okay, of how it was done. No one really knows the reason why, but the twist is this, okay, was about baby Lelouch, right? Who is Macbeth's biological child, but of course legally Gilly. So what Macbeth does is remove his opposition from the equation and declare himself king for love of Garouche. Right, that's what he does. Here you go. And then he says, this, okay, to basically we need to basically bless this child. We need to get all your men together and bless this little baby, right? You must gather your men around you, only your men, your whole war band, bring them here to the hall. You come together to pledge So to pledge your allegiance to the new babe and to the clan. You give thanks to the birth and for Queen Garouche. You ask the blessings on them and toast the future. Then it falls to your keyboard to say something in praise of the house. And that's it. And then what Macbeth does is burns them all alive. He burns them all alive. And the things you can actually imagine is, if this actually was true, okay, is basically Garouche standing there with a smile on her face, right? Because obviously her husband, who she hated, had been dispatched. And then Macbeth turns to everyone, okay, and says, right, I swear me no harm to La Luke. He has done me no wrong. I stand here today and name Luke as my heir. Right. A son's silence, not least from me and my women. We all know something momentous was coming, but we had no clue about airship. But I saw with tears the smoke was the perfect excuse to cover my emotion. At the moment I loved him more, all the more for taking guardianship of our son. Right. Her husband has just been burned alive. And her response is to stand there with an element of pride, whilst Macbeth stands okay and goes, well, actually, okay, this child, Luke, will be my heir. Okay, he'll be my son in all but name. Right. In her head, and you can actually, now I saw this, and maybe because the actual Lady Macbeth is going through your head at this point, but the fact is, you can kind of imagine her standing there with a smirk on her face as this is happening. Because even though her husband, she hated her husband, he was good at what he does at ruling. It kind of failed in the last kind of hurdle at this. I mean, trusting Macbeth, who was his kinsman, his cousin. But the fact is, in her head, she's made this into a love story, even though it's not. It's horrific, it's nasty. She's basically usurped an entire kingdom because she fell in love with Macbeth and Macbeth fell in love with her. People are going to suffer, and they're just one paying off the women. Okay? And even though, and I did look this up, the real Macbeth was actually very, very respected in his lifetime, okay? And they kind of get the excuse as the fact is that it's because he paid them off. He was very, very generous. Here you go. Right. Little dissent when the flames died down. Our people knew enough of Macbeth to take him at his word, isn't until he proved them wrong. Of course they were grieving. Gil's men had wives and lovers and children bereft, but Macbeth was cunning enough to pay blood money. It didn't hurt that his men didn't remind those left behind of Gil's ruthlessness and cruelties and the convenience of their men. Okay, so apparently Macbeth was a good leader. However, how it came about was quite twisted. And one thing I will give Val McDermid some respect is how she took this, what we know, and kind of turned into a frame and device of a love story. But however, it's so ambiguous because as it's Garouche looking back on her life 20 years after the event, she's reframed it in her mind as this some kind of love story. And imagine a bit more brutal than that. Okay, the fact is that she hated her husband, yet, and the fact that he was a violent and cruel man, but she still did everything else in between. I mean, okay, right. But then it turns out that Macbeth who did all of this, including burn her husband alive, is not dead. Now, according to historical documents, he actually died in the battlefield. No, at this time he was just badly injured, and he survived. And now they're going to escape to Rome together to live out a peaceful life in peace and harmony. That's the actual twist. Is Macbeth survive, and they're going to leave Scotland and go to Rome. They're going to go to Italy. Right. This bit here. We set sail at the turning of the tide. I take a last look at the familiar contours and colours of my native land. Then I turn my face to the open sea. We are bound south for Rome for warm winters and sweet wine. With letters from the Bishop of the Isles and Aberdeen, commending our generosity to the Church and our humble piety. Bishop reminds His Holiness of our previous pilgrimage. Ask him to assume the role of our protector in Rome. Right. So they're going to go to exile in Rome and live happily ever after. I must admit, it's an interesting twist on the Shakespearean tale, which is so well known, of obviously Macbeth and Lady Macbeth don't have happy endings. Do they? They do not have happy endings. This gives them one. But at the same time, can you ask yourself, is this happy ending deserved due to the ambiguity of the text. This is Garouche turning what actually happened with the death of her husband, and the fact is, okay, that it was a forced marriage and she was unhappy, into a love story. Right. And the fact that Macbeth named Laluk as his heir, well, the fact is that she had no more children whatsoever. So it's an interesting kind of twist, okay, of actually making Laluk Macbeth's son and heir the entire time. Right. I mean, it could have been from a strategic point of view, okay, but I like how it's done, but also the kind of ambiguity, because obviously you come into this as you know about Lady Macbeth. I've seen this take on the character in a way to give her sympathy, but not enough that you feel total sympathy for her. What she went through was terrible, but how she frames it as well, of her standing there whilst her husband's burnt alive and the keeper's burnt alive and then everyone dies. And it stands there, okay, and with no protest, whilst Macbeth declares himself king. You could argue that it was more strategy point of view, okay, because to keep herself safe, but of course she fell in love with Macbeth. I like the ambiguity of this novel. I like the fact, as she's telling the story, to turn herself into a more heroic character, as someone who did what she did out of love, right? Not a schemer, she was a lover, not a fighter. I liked this. However, the present day moment of them actually going on their misadventure bored the hell out of me. I would rather have an actual novel, a proper linear novel, with a bit more work to it. Val McDermid is a wonderful author, so actually I wanted more. So, Queen Macbeth by Val McDermid, great novel. Well, great novella actually, it's quite short. I'm signing off here. Bye now.